It's a patient-led service. It's run by patients. It was set up by a patient. It's run by patients for patients, and I think that is good because I think that the medical profession are amazing, and we have some amazing consultants in Scotland, and I think you will have in the rest of the UK. But I think until you've actually had it and realise the changes it brings to your life, and that it's really important that patients at least can advise consultants a bit about it, and they certainly can advise us and support us. So that's why I'm involved in Fight Bladder Cancer. My bladder cancer journey started 7 years ago when I was 80, when most people should be finishing, I think. And I was introduced, I went to a clinic in a big hospital in Edinburgh, the Western, and I said to my consultant, why is there nothing? There's all these papers and leaflets about every other cancer, but this is a urological clinic, and you have no information on bladder cancer. And he said, oh, well, we need to do something about it, don't we? So he said, there's a man called Andrew Winterbottom, and Andrew had bladder cancer, and his aim was that everyone affected by bladder cancer, patients, carers, families and friends, need a reliable place to come to for support, information and advice. They need to know that someone is speaking up for them when critical policy, care and research decisions are being made. And I think that we continue to work on trying to influence policy and research. Lydia goes all over the continent helping with looking at research, and we have my consultant and a couple of other consultants have done research which is known throughout Europe. I want to say a big thank you to the GMP Congress for inviting me. I was a GMP member, but never ever got to a Congress. Probably I was too much of a troublemaker, I don't know. I've got that on my medical record, you know. It says at the bottom of my medical records when I asked for them, a very difficult woman. I don't know where they got it from, but anyway, it's there. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy because you're in, especially for the London region, for hosting us. And I'm happy because I want other people to know what I didn't know. And I want you to have the opportunity of going back and meeting a lot of people that I would never meet. Was it 580,000 or something? So if you do them all in the next couple of weeks, I'll be really glad. The bladder cancer awareness and support is really necessary. You know, even if we've been on the stall for the last couple of days, you would not know how many people came who said they either had a close relation who had bladder cancer or died of bladder cancer. And yet when we go around shopping malls and places like that, in a store, people think it's a new cancer. It's not a new cancer. So that's why I'm here today representing Fight Bladder Cancer, because I want to give something back, because more men get bladder cancer than women, but more women die. 50%, up to 50% of women get bladder cancer die, and that's not because it's not curable, and it's because of late diagnosis, and because people like me think they know best and they tell the doctor what's wrong with them, rather than waiting for the doctor to diagnose. So never do that. Go back a bit. I told you about Andrew. He's an amazing man, and I was privileged to work with him. He's unfortunately died, but I was privileged to work with him on tour in Glasgow and in Liverpool, and he really cared about people, and he really cared about getting the message through, and I get told by people who knew him from the beginning that he fight bladder cancer came from a shed in the garden, it's still not a huge charity, but we can tell you a bit more about that. But they are out of the shed, just about, and have an office in the gym. I talked to you about raising awareness with politicians. As a social worker, I had used councillors and MPs when I wanted something, or people would get what they want, so once they were just going to have a go at them. And so I think it's really important, and I think it's important that politicians from all parties do help. I get really annoyed sometimes when I listen to people when I watch television and they say things like, well, when we're in power, we do that, or when we get together and do something, sort out, if there's more of you there are, the more of you, better the outcomes might be. And I know you have different opinions and different policies, but I think health should be across the board. So we started our campaign to get, and we're fortunate, I suppose, in Scotland that we have a small parliament. It's only 129 members. We were able to write to every one of them, and we got some invites from ministers to go and have meetings with them. So I met myself and Danielle, who's an amazing young woman. She got bladder cancer at the age of 25 when she was 6 months pregnant. And we had the same consultant, and he saved her and the baby. And the baby's now 7. And she's very proud to be in magazines like Fight Bladder. She thinks she's famous, but she is. And so together we've started to work with politicians and from all parties. When Gary Smith was in Scotland, he was really helpful, and he knew all the MPs that belonged to GMB. And when we had a motion in Parliament, he would chase up the GMB members and tell them to sign the motion. So we thank Gary for that. In 2019, we had the first parliamentary motion. We've now had 4 from all different parties. We haven't got to a debate yet, but we will. And in 2019, with the help of the Fight Bladder Cancer support staff, a lovely lady called Emma, who would never ever forget about bladder cancer and had so much enthusiasm. And so she had gone to university in Scotland, so felt she would like to have set up something in Scotland. And we set up our first Scottish steering group. It's now still going, and it's made up of consultants, patients, which is important, carers, nurses, CNS nurses, some charities like the Maggie Centre. So we're working together and we're trying, at the moment we're very much in the central belt, but we need to get up. So we are in Inverness, but we need to get further afield. We weren't, when we first started, we weren't registered as a charity in Scotland, but it was an English and Welsh charity. But in 2022, with the help of a really great guy who's also a bladder cancer patient, and he helped us through all the horrible bits about having to set up a charity and all the legal stuff, so that was good. So we've done that, and we don't let the Scottish Parliament forget. We constantly, they must be sick. Nobody in the Scottish Parliament can say they don't know about Fight Bladder Cancer, because if they do, they must bin all their information, because we let them know on a very regular basis that Fight Bladder Cancer is still about.
So there are 4 main objectives of the charity, and Dorothy, one of the trustees, reminds me that awareness should be our most important priority because we need to promote the awareness campaigns regarding the causes, symptoms and treatments and aftercare. So you can see some of the materials on your chair as well. We want to make sure that the general public is aware of bladder cancer, and then when people are diagnosed, the healthcare professionals and the patients know that they can come to us for free information and support, which leads on to support as well. So we provide free patient information and support. We've got our website, our private forum, our magazine and our patient and carer information booklets as well. So they're available for free download on our website, and then also on our website you can find a link and we will print and post any of the materials and send it to you anywhere in the UK as well. And if you know any healthcare professionals, we will have a special folder that we send out to healthcare professionals. So policy change. Dorothy spoke about, as all of the GMB members here know, that if we want system change, then we need policy change as well. And we offer one-to-one support, but we can influence and affect and improve people's lives so much more if we do policy change as well. So we do a lot of work to make sure that all of the legislation that is going through, the guidelines and the pathways are as good as possible. And then research. We know that a lot of the research that's happening in the UK doesn't directly involve patients, that sometimes patients are seen as the subject of research rather than collaborators and co-creators. So we do a lot of work educating researchers and making sure that they're involving patients like Dorothy and people affected by bladder cancer through every stage of research. So now Dorothy is going to share a little bit more about her patient journey.
I realised earlier on today that I probably was the only person at this Congress who remembered that times before the National Health Service. I was 12 when the National Health Service came, and I remember it because my mother used to help lay out people dead, help people deliver their babies in the little mining village that we lived in. And so for me the National Health Service has been really important. The symptoms leading to my diagnosis were that my urine, my pee became redder and redder as the months got on. I retired at the age of 79 for the 3rd time, and I'd had great retirement parties. I was going to I'd spent my time working with, I was going to, well, amazing families, but they would be seen by others as disadvantaged families or vulnerable families. To me, I think they're the most resilient people in the country, because they've been told for years that they're useless and they need somebody to tell them they're not, and get up in the morning. So that was my plan. Once I was retired, I would spend more time doing the same sort of thing as I do now for bladder cancer, but doing it for them. Anyway, by the Christmas night, the blood in my urine was really bad, and I went to the surgery on my way home from a holiday and said I have to see somebody that day. That's probably where I got the difficult bit on my papers, and I stayed until somebody saw me, and then I demanded that I have a second opinion. I went for an exploratory operation, and they said, "You're okay now, we've taken a stone out of your bladder wall, but we've also done some biopsies," thank God. And so I went away for 3 weeks to Spain, came back, and on the way to the hospital, I'd been feeling better. And on the way to the hospital, we were laughing because there's a great Chinese restaurant near that hospital. So we were thinking, well, at least we'll get a Chinese on the way home. Anyway, I went in and the surgeon said, "I've got a surprise for you." And I said, "I hope it's a good one." And he said, "No, I'm afraid you've got grade 4 muscular invasive bladder cancer. So you need to go and see a cancer surgeon." So he referred me on, and I was fortunate that I got to see him fairly quickly. We had a holiday planned for all of us, 25 of us, because I was going to be 80, to Sorrento. I said, "You can go to Sorrento and I'll contact you when you get back and we'll do the operation as quickly as we can then." I had my operation, took my bladder away, and I was fine. And then I went home, and before I'd gone into hospital, I had written and asked the local doctor what service I would get, and they said that the district nurses would come and see me. But after a week, I got a terrible infection, and I was with blue lights, went to the local hospital. They received me well, and then lost me for 3 days, in which time the infection got worse and worse. And by the time I saw a consultant, then they thought my bowel wall was going to go as well, because when they do it, take your bladder, they take some of your bowel wall to make your stomach. Bowel to make your stomach. So, yeah. Anyway, so really, but then I must tell you, because I told you about the bad experience I had in the NHS, so before I stop, I want to tell you about the good experience, because then I had to have some hernias moved, and I went to another hospital, and I had an amazing service. So I've known the best and the worst. On reflection, I think the difference in management was the issue, rather than nurses.
Thank you, Dorothy. So while we're here at the GMB Congress, some research done by Jim Caddo, who's a urologist here in the UK, found that in the UK, if you are one of these professions up here, tied, tobacco, dye, leather, rubber, metal worker, a factory or chemical worker, an oil or petroleum worker, a hairdresser, a printer, painter, leather worker, cleaner, domestic assistant, electrician, mechanic, waiter, gardener, seafarer or nurse, you have a higher chance of getting bladder cancer, so 27 to 35% higher. So we are making sure that people are aware that if they are or have been employed in any of these professions, they are at higher risk, so they need to be aware of their signs and symptoms. And we'll talk about the signs and symptoms at the end. So we had a motion in 2019. So thank you very much to the GMB for passing this Congress motion to work together for a campaign to raise awareness on the link between work and service industries and bladder cancer, to work with Health and Safety Executive, and for us to collaborate, and we'll hear from UnionLine shortly about this. So what are we doing? Legislation. We are monitoring and submitting evidence regarding legislation in the field of occupational cancer. So if you come across any legislation in any of the parliaments in the UK and you would like us to submit any evidence or write to any MPs or House of Lords or parliamentary representatives, we're always here to share our experiences and share our evidence. We're also partnering with the firefighters as well, the Fire Brigades Union, to make sure that we can get bladder cancer recognised as an occupational hazard of firefighting. We're working here at the GMB on awareness campaigns targeting at-risk populations, and we're also hoping to partner with the GMB in setting up a bladder cancer registry. This, just in the interest of time, I can see we've just hit 20 minutes. You'll have a postcard on your chair that says "Do look down." So blood in your pee is a primary symptom of bladder cancer. So please pick up some of these postcards and distribute them around your workplace and remind people that if they do see blood in their pee, they should go see their GP. Thank you.
I'm now going to pass over to Bernard from UnionLine.
Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Deeney. I am the Solicitor and the Manager in UnionLine. Very often I've sat and spoken platforms, and instead it's a pleasure. Today I can genuinely say I feel it's an honour and a privilege to be at this table. Because we're going to help. How are we going to help? I'll tell you that in a minute. First of all, I want to say a few words about what UnionLine is. We are your law firm. You own us, and we are answerable to you. And you'll know who we are at this Congress because we have a stall right beside the Bladder Cancer awareness stall. and everybody is welcome to come and get further information. And how can we help? Well, we can help because we're a law firm with a structure, and we will act to collect the asbestos register and other registers, and bladder cancer, we will be a reference point. We already have register for asbestos, other industrial diseases. And I'll tell you why that's important. It didn't certainly occur to me until I was aware of this campaign, the wide range of occupations that are affected by this dreadful disease. So it's important to keep a registry, to keep and collate information, and then to use that to notice trends, to identify perhaps where there could be class litigation. That's absolutely vital. If we have individuals, if we have a hairdresser in Bournemouth going to hospital, and a hairdresser in Cardiff, and a hairdresser in Edinburgh, and a hairdresser in Derry, if there's no collation, then we can't form a link. We can't identify the pattern. And that's how all the successful litigation has evolved, which has helped reduce things like asbestosis because trends were identified. Now, you'd be pleased to hear I'm not going to keep you very long, but what we will do is maintain the registry. Members will call us, they'll tell us what's wrong, they'll tell us how they think they contracted the disease. Now, that's not very easy. If you've had 5 professions in the last 10 years, which one of them caused you to be infected? But we're lawyers, we deal with these things. So we will act as an information point, okay? And we will help and assist in any way we can. Remember, you own us. We're your law firm, we don't have partners. And then, if we can identify litigation, then we can refer to one of the panel firms that GMB use in such litigation if we identify that there is a case there to be assessed. So we will provide that service. We will be the contact point to assemble this registry and keep it on our database. So that's who we are. We're delighted to be able to assist. What does this cost, members? Litigation is expensive. Class litigation tends to be against the biggest companies and multinationals in the country with limited resources, unlimited resources to fight litigation. That's why UnionLine is there, and it doesn't cost the member anything. Our services are free to members. And remember the wide range of occupations that this could affect. You know about UnionLine, it's owned by the GMB. We're in the foyer for the rest of Congress. We've been there since the start, we'll be there at the end. As you probably twigged from my accent, we're based in Sheffield. So if you do have any queries, please come. As I say, it's an honour and a privilege to be allowed and to be given the privilege to assist with this campaign. Thank you very much.